Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the show, I am very glad to bring you another Tony Scott-Tom Cruise collaboration, and that is Days of Thunder, the 1990 racing classic, I guess you could call it. I guess it's kind of a classic at this point, but this is a really fun movie. It has some serious moments here and there, but Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, Nicole Kidman, I mean, they're all really outstanding in this. Even Randy Quaid plays a really good part as the manager of Tom Cruise's race team, and it's a great movie. I get a big kick out of this movie. This is a lot of fun to watch. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, so watching it in 4K here was kind of a big revisit for me. The last time I watched this was an older Blu-ray of the film, and really, I gotta say, this new 4K, yet again, just like Top Gun, really blew me away. The visuals on this disc, I'm gonna jump right in here and just say, the visuals on this are absolutely stupendous. I loved the look of this movie. Again, very similar look to Top Gun. Again, basically, almost the whole team came back for this, and, Jerry Bruckheimer producing, Tony Scott directing, really a great film overall. I really like it. I think it's a great movie. It's also a pretty good movie about racing, even though, they don't really get too much into the really heavy-duty mechanics of NASCAR racing. They do, bits and pieces here and there. It's kind of like NASCAR for beginners. I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but this movie is a lot of fun to watch. The race scenes in it are really exhilarating, and this new format here really lends itself to this kind of action that you get in this film. The crashes are really wild to look at. The racing overall, I think, is really well filmed, and, again, that's just Tony Scott being who he is. He's just a fantastic director of these things. And, again, this movie, a great watch. Now, with the 4K here, this does have Dolby Vision HDR, and I have to say, the HDR and the upticked resolution on this thing really goes a long way. It is a phenomenal watch. This movie, at times, I actually thought looked better than Top Gun. Certain scenes, again, the detail level you get is just so phenomenal. I mean, little creases in Tom Cruise's, black sport coat that he basically wears throughout the entire movie. I never really realized he has a black sport coat, white shirt thing going on throughout this whole movie. I kind of forgot about that. But the detail level you get in this is just incredible. Nicole Kidman was extremely young when she was in this movie, and this is really where Tom Cruise and her met. And I have to say, it is just a great thing. Their chemistry in this is fantastic, and she looks absolutely phenomenal in this. And I have to say, the colors you get out of this are really just extraordinary. That Dolby Vision HDR really goes a long way, and I'm talking about colors of the cars, detail levels of clothing, the race scenes, again, really beautiful. The black levels in this are also really fantastic. They did a great job with this transfer. There's a lot of scenes that take place in shadowy rooms, and there's a wonderful scene where Robert Duvall is kind of talking to the frame of what's going to become Tom Cruise's race car near the beginning of the film. And those scenes with the shadows and the smoke and the fog kind of look, it's really a beautiful watch. I love this. And again, big hats off to Paramount for another absolutely wonderful transfer. And like I said, honestly, I think at times this looks better than Top Gun. Even though Top Gun's transfer is grade A, this is right up there with it. This is a phenomenal transfer from Paramount here. Great job from them. Again, there is grain in the picture. It was shot on film. It was not a digital production that didn't exist back in 1990. But yeah, this is like the 30th anniversary of this film, and this movie has aged beautifully. Now, it's not extremely heavy grain. It is noticeable throughout the picture, but again, it's not a problem for me. If you're a grain hater, if you're that kind of person that doesn't like grain at all, I mean, again, you're going to notice it, but it is not extremely noticeable. But again, if you take out that grain, if you use that digital noise reduction on the film, we've seen what a disaster that can be in the past, and I'm really glad Paramount did not do this with this film. They did a great job. Now, there are two things on this disc that are kind of lacking. Now, this disc does not include a regular Blu-ray. But again, for me, it's not a big deal. I don't need the regular Blu-ray. I have the 4K, and that's fine. That's not really a big deal. What is kind of sorely missing here is some kind of immersive audio track. This is just a standard 5.1. I think it's just a Dolby Digital 5.1. I just want to double check. But yes, it is a Dolby Digital True HD 5.1. And again, it sounds fantastic. I had no issues with it. I just really wish they went the extra mile and put a Dolby Atmos track on this like they did with Top Gun. It's just such a great thing to have, but in a movie where there's not a lot of overhead, you know, sounds and stuff like that, I can kind of understand why they didn't do it, but it's sorely missed on this. But what you get, that 5.1, the surrounds are constantly used in this thing, especially during those race scenes that I mentioned, which are all throughout the film. There's always something happening around you, and you really get the sense that you're in the race. So even though it is not, you know, an Atmos track or an immersive track, it is still a great audio track. And again, I don't know if it's a new audio track. It seems to be the same one as the older Blu-ray, but it was fine then, and it actually still sounds really good now if it is the same thing. I really enjoyed it. Other than that, the only other thing that's really sorely missing on this is some bonus features. Now, with the 4K of Top Gun, we got a slew of bonus features right on the 4K disc. Quite a few good ones, too. There's one bonus feature on the special features category, I should say, and it's like a little featurette, which is more or less an interview with Jerry Bruckheimer, and he really, you know, gives a nice little story of the making of the film, talking about Robert Towne, the writer of the film, great writer. Again, talking about his experiences with Tony Scott, filming the movie, working with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and Robert Duvall and all these guys, and again, it's a nice little featurette. It doesn't go extremely in-depth, but it is nice to have, and it's a nice little thing. Again, I enjoyed it. I like anything that gives you like a behind-the-scenes kind of aspect or view. Again, it's on the disc here, and the only other special feature, which is weird because it's not in the special features, which I thought was really strange, is Hans Zimmer's isolated score has its own audio track on this. Now, it's not in the special features. It's actually in the audio part of the menu. It's in the languages part of the menu. So you have to pick it in there in order to hear it, which is fine. I will say, it's awesome. Hans Zimmer's tracks in this, his audio, his score, I should say, is great. I love Hans Zimmer. He's one of my favorite composers. Some of his scores a little better than others. This is one of my favorites, honestly. It really gets you pumped up for the race scenes in the movie, the emotional scenes. It's a great score. It's very orchestral, sometimes electronic, but mostly kind of an orchestral type thing, a lot of guitars. It's really cool. It's very 90s, very almost 80s kind of, but it's very 90s, but I like it. It's a lot of fun, and again, this movie overall is just a blast to watch, especially in this new 4K. Those visuals are worth the purchase alone. It is such a great, great release. Like I mentioned, does not come with a standard Blu-ray, but it does come with a digital copy, which does redeem in 4K with Dolby Vision and everything. So it's really a great little disc here. Again, special features kind of lacking, and the audio isn't immersive, but what's there is phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. And again, you know, this is like 20 bucks right now, I think, on Amazon. It's well worth the purchase in my mind. I think this is one of the best releases I have in my collection. Again, it's right up there with Top Gun, the 2001 A Space Odyssey. I would even put it up there with Apocalypse Now, which is probably one of my favorite 4K releases. This is a phenomenal disc. Like I said, I'm just wish it had that Dolby Atmos track. That would have just been, that would have been perfect. But you take what you can get, and what you get in this is definitely worth 20 bucks. I would say if you can get it less than that, it's a steal. So anyway, that's all for today for Kavanaugh's Corner. Please, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. And again, until next time, please stay safe, everybody. And again, I wish you all the best. Have a great night. Take it easy.